Hello again, I am Blunty, and that is the A77, or more correctly, the Alpha 77. This big beastie sits at the top of the Sony pile. It's big, it's hefty, it's very, very serious about delivering stills and video performance to slacken your jaw and make your eyebrows migrate towards your hairline. Your basic bullet points read like this. You've got your built like a tank magnesium alloy body, your 24 megapixel APS-C sensor, a truly spectacular high resolution OLED viewfinder. Being at the high end semi-pro side of the scale, you've got a serious scattering of controls and buttons all over the damn thing to give you a quick and easy access to the vital shooting settings. And while this was my first time with this side of the Sony shooter family, I found very quickly I became accustomed to the positions and layout. It all felt like the things were where I needed them to be, a sign of good interface design. The screen on the back is typical Sony, bright, sharp and crystal clear, very viewable in every condition and location and angle I tried to use it in. It's also mounted on a clever little tilt, swivel, spin, turn, flip-flop hinge thingy, which can be very handy indeed, but I honestly prefer Canon's approach to swinging it out to the side, because with Sony's choice, if you have a microphone or light or whatever mounted on the hot shoe up top, it will of course immediately completely obscure the screen if you wish to point it forward, which is a bit stupid. But aside from that, it's very, very nice and extremely solid feeling. As I mentioned before, the viewfinder is a wildly impressive OLED screen, perhaps the very best I've ever pointed my eye at. It's got some stupidly insane high resolution, and it's very, very nice. But being electronic, there is a slight lag when switching to it. It's not as bad as some I've come across, but it is something that may irritate some people just a little bit. But it was at least reliable, and the auto sensor worked perfectly every single time. Sadly, being Sony, it doesn't feature a standard hot shoe, but instead Sony's own proprietary interface. But anyway, your full selection of ports around the side include power remote and external microphone input, USB and of course HDMI out. Absolutely no shocks there. Everything you really expect to be there is there. The kit lens is a 16 to 50mm f2.8 jobby. It feels extremely well machined and features a very nice full-time manual focus ring. It is easily the very best kit lens I've ever used. The menu system is pretty sensible too. Once upon a time it was a real fight to the death to find a camera with a menu system that didn't make you just a little bit furious every time you needed to use it. Thankfully these days manufacturers seem to have gotten a good handle on things. It's a nice clean layout that makes it simple to find what you're digging for pretty quickly. The overlay shooting options are equally well thought out, giving you rapid access to the stuff you'll be fiddling with most. Even picture modes, which are usually buried in awkward menus, are easy to get at here and can be quickly flicked through using the control wheel under the shutter button. On the subject of these picture modes, regular viewers will know I'm not a huge fan of them. I usually like to play and mess around with my images in post-production on the computer, but to Sony's credit, most of these settings are actually very pleasant and carefully balanced effects. There's a setting for dynamic range optimization and high dynamic range photographs. They actually work surprisingly well. This is another feature on many cameras which used to be eye-stabbingly awful, but are now being dialed in to a standard that can actually make them useful to use in the field. Some of the other nice toys include an electronic level, which are never quite as trusty as a good old bubble level, but it's a really nice thing to have there all the same. And here it is again, of course. Regular viewers will know I adore Sony's superb focus peaking mode. It makes manual focusing super quick and easy. And speaking of quick, he said in the world's most clumsy segue, have you ever felt the pure and absolute joy and exhilaration of being able to shoot an amazing 24 megapixel stills with full autofocus at a machine gunning 12 frames per second? I just have. And if you shoot sports or wildlife or small children full of sugar, I promise you, you're going to adore this unprecedented technological magic. It truly is gobsmackingly awesome. So let's go shooting with it and see what it can do. But oh no, it's raining heavily. I'll have to be super careful and use it one-handed while trying to hold an umbrella or wrap the camera in plastic and sandwich bags and condoms to try and keep it dry, or the camera will be awfully damaged and ruined forever. I sense you sense my sarcasm here. See, one of the many things I love about the Alpha 77 is the fact that it's weather sealed. Shooting video in low light, almost always a colossal pain in the ass, but this is another area where the Alpha 77 surprised me. If I really pushed it, it would show me some noise and grain, but its ability to stay sharp, clean and clear at night, in the rain, shooting handheld, and, quite honestly, while I was a bit drunk, was truly remarkable. Even the autofocus was behaving perfectly, and in low light the autofocus is usually the very first thing to poop in your cereal with most other cameras. And I really can't understate how terrifically pleasant it is to not worry about your camera getting wet in those types of conditions. It's surprisingly freeing to have a proper weather-sealed professional level camera. You can just use it. You don't have to worry about trying to shield it from the rain. It's fantastic. Out in the daytime and when I'd sobered up, the story was much the same. The video performance was excellent. And unlike most cameras in this class, not only has it got autofocus, but full-time phase detect autofocus. If you're not familiar with that term, what it means is it's very, very fast and very, very accurate and won't do that annoying contrast detect focus hunting thing of going back and forth before it decides where it should lock into. If I worked hard enough, I could get the autofocus to misbehave, but in normal use it was nicely reliable. And that, in combination with the Sony focus peaking mode I love so much, meant even the most challenging of focus situations was a doddle. And unusually for a camera that wasn't born as a video camera, its video stabilization is quite astonishing, really. Even when I'm strolling casually, not taking any particular care on a bush track, I'm shooting handheld, and it's really, really smooth. It's amazingly smooth, actually. It outperforms a couple of video cameras I've tried, to be honest with you. It's really nice. You may have noticed by now the default picture profile is quite flat, but that's a good thing when it comes to color grading in post-production. It gives you the most flexibility and room to push things around so you can get them to look how you want them to look. When it comes to stills, the Alpha 77's main reason for life, well, there are many adjectives I could choose from. There are many words I could throw out there to tell you exactly what I think about its performance in stills mode. But the one I uttered most often while I was looking at the snaps on my computer after the shoot was, bloody hell. All of these shots are untouched and right off the memory card. Some of them feature those clever little picture modes and built-in effects I mentioned earlier that are so often rightfully ignored in most cameras. They really are wonderfully executed here, and there has only ever been one other camera that I enjoyed using the built-in effects with as much as I did with the Sony, and that's my quirky little Pentax Q, and those two cameras couldn't be further apart in almost every other respect. The Alpha 77 is big, and it's hefty, and it's filled with power and festooned with buttons that would utterly perplex your average hipster wannabe. And the battery life was truly remarkable for such a big, serious, high-performance camera. It's definitely built for serious use for all-day long shoots. It's a serious camera with serious performance for serious enthusiasts. But using it felt like the exact opposite. It felt profoundly exuberant. And that's an exceedingly difficult and very rare mix to find. Sony have done a terrific job on it. Thanks for watching. I'm Blunty, and I'll catch you next time.